We are now with Savage Tim. Tim, everybody seems to be throwing money hands over fist at Savage Worlds right now on Kickstarter. Why is everybody going crazy over Rifts?
Well, in case you haven't noticed, I was going to say that the Rifts Kickstarter launched last week and almost instantly made its goal in less than a minute, and now is over $225,000 on its way. There's still 17 days to go left in the Kickstarter period, so there's still plenty of time to get involved with it. But within 24 hours, they'd blown through every single one of their stretch goals. They're basically going to make their money several times over, so it's become huge. It's really very surprising. I think a lot of people were a little bit shocked. I don't think a lot of people realize the kind of following that people have, that Rifts itself has. We're talking about a game that's been around for 26 years now, and it's always been kind of out there. It's always been kind of at the edges of what's been going on with the gaming public, but it's been very popular for a lot of people. I know I played in a pretty successful campaign way back in the day, back when it first came out. I did have a lot of fun with it, although I wasn't a terrific fan of the rules at the time. I think they're a little dated at this point. So I'm really excited to see what happens when we update that to the Savage Worlds rule set. I think it's a really good pick for that setting.
But what is it like? I mean, what do you play in the game? What is the experience that you are to expect from a Rifts game?
Well, the basic concept of Rifts is that it was a future world. It's a future world very similar to the world that we live in now, but a little bit more far-fetched, a little bit more kind of cyberpunk future. And what happens is that there's a terrific catastrophe when these big dimensional portals, these rifts, suddenly split open the world in various places, and then invading armies come through of all these different other beings and creatures from other places. Some of them are very huge and disgusting monsters like dragons and demons, and other ones are highly advanced technological creatures that are like cyborg type creations, and they basically cut and dice the planet up into itty bitty chunks, and people just take over. They take over the different areas that you find in. So it's sort of a post-apocalyptic wasteland with cyberpunk and dragons. It's pretty much a little bit of everything. And it's kind of fascinating. There's a number of different character types that they're already talking about people having. The classic ones are the Juicer, which are amphetamine empowered and pumped up adventurers. You've got the Glitter Boys, who basically are cyber jocks who ride in these massive mechanical power armor suits with these huge boom cannons. These huge rail guns that set off sonic booms every time they are fired. You can play mutant creatures. You can play a mix of different classes and races. You can play all sorts of different insane stuff. So it's really pretty fascinating what you can do with it. You can do pretty much anything you set your mind to. It can be a little crazy and nuts. But there's already a whole bunch of stuff listed out for it. They're going to be putting a whole bunch of the benefits. If you go to the Pinnacle site, if you go actually to the Kickstarter pages now, on one of the updates, you can see the outline for what a Glitter Boy is going to look like. And that's going to give you an idea about what kind of characters you're going to see. It's way overpowered. It's a way crazy game world. It's just going to be nuts. It's going to be something that I think Savage Worlds players are going to go absolutely bonkers for.
Hearing about some of the damage that was being rolled at some of the testing of this stuff, it reminded me of the mech suits that are in the Sci-Fi Companions, and I pulled some of that into the last Parsec when I ran that at Savage Sundays, and they had so much fun dropping that much amount of dice into there. Is that what Rifts is like? Just
yes.
Handfuls of dice?
Yes. I think the base damage for the boom gun is 4d12 plus 4. So yeah, it's going to be insane. I mean, we're talking about a gun so large that the character actually has to stop what he's doing for a turn and lock his ankles into place so that he can accept the recoil from this thing. Anybody within a medium burst template of somebody firing this boom gun has to make a saving throw or be shaken because it's so freaking loud.
Is overpowered Savage Worlds? Is Savage, because I always think of Savage Worlds as lean and mean. I don't think of it as overpowered. How is that? How do you think that kind of marriage of Rifts with Overpowered with the lean, mean, fast, furious fun of Savage Worlds is gonna go?
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, the guys they've got working on this. Sean Patrick Fannin, who has a long history with extremely powerful role playing games. He was a big Champions guy from back in the day, and he was the driving force behind Shintar, which is kind of overpowered fantasy. And then also you got Ross Watson. Ross Watson did a lot of work on Accursed and also did a bunch of stuff for the Warhammer role-playing universe. So you got two guys who really know what high-power gaming is going to look like and the kind of thing it's going to take. I think that you have a very simple basic system, but you have enough crunch that's going to satisfy the heavy hitter type players. I think it's going to go really well. I mean, some of the stuff is already in the system in the core as it is. Like MDC. MDC was something that was a concept from Rifts where it was called Mega Damage, and it was damage by a factor of 10 over normal damage, or SDC. And in Rifts, that was very complicated to kind of handle it. It wasn't really something that was easy to do. You had to do all kinds of weird multiplication and subtractions and all sort of funky stuff. But in Savage Worlds, it's very simpler. It's simple. It's simply just heavy armor and heavy damage. And that's it. So that's it. You're done. Your weapon, if it's an MDC level weapon, it does heavy damage. If you have MDC resistant armor, it's heavy armor. Couldn't be simpler. All the same rules are the same, all the same math, it works out evenly, it's always going to be the same number of wounds and what have you, but that's the only difference. You can't really, it's going to be a much simpler and leaner system. I think we've seen 26 years of game development is only going to help.
Cool. And were there any surprises in the stretch goals or things that they were offering in the Kickstarter that kind of surprised you?
For the most part, I really, I thought we weren't going to see this many. The stretch goals pretty much included stuff that you would normally see, such as a few extra bonuses here and there, a few extra bonuses here and there, some PDFs, some digital copies of things, the usual stuff. What surprised me though is that if they hit 300,000, they're going to expand what the book itself includes. That the extra stuff that they're offering, that they normally offer just as a digital add-on, is going to be included with the core book. So it's going to be really cool to see that they're actually going to make the book bigger and have more stuff in it, the more money they make, which is something that you don't usually see. Usually the manuscripts are pretty locked down, especially when Pinnacle is involved. So the fact they're going to be doing that extra stuff is really kind of awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to this, and I think you might be seeing this at a convention near you very soon.
Really? Like what kind of convention?
I don't know, maybe a Queen City Conquest style convention.
I've never heard of it. Please tell me more.
Oh, come on, McGarrett. You know all about Queen City Conquest. Everybody's in Buffalo knows about Queen City Conquest. Let's not be facetious. No, Queen City Conquest is our local Buffalo convention that's happening in September this year. It's happening the weekend of September 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Why am I suddenly drawing a blank about the weekends? I don't know. It's September. It's September-ish. That one's coming along. September 9th, 10th, and 11th. That's what it was. It's coming along very nicely. That Kickstarter is also happening right now. That goes until the 14th, May 14th. So we've got a couple of weeks still, about 12 more days for people to get in on that one. It's very close to its goal right now. We're at about $6,000 of a $8,000 ask. So we're getting real close now, and there's a nice steady progression. So I don't think they're having any problems hitting their goal. But I hope that we get some of the extra stretch goal stuff involved. I know that they're talking to John Wick, and they're planning on having him up here as a special guest, which I'm looking forward to. I really want to meet him. I actually owe him a drink. Because he won a bunch of Savage Worlds books for me at one point and doesn't realize it. And so there's all kinds of cool stuff that's going to be happening with that show. We're definitely going to be running some riffs. I'm planning on. I'm thinking about running the Carl Kiesler's A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen game, 1970s edition. Planning on running that, and a game to be named later that we might be working on. Garrett? Yeah, something a little special that might be happening with that. So we're still very much in the early planning days for that, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But that's definitely we're going to be planning on lots of extra Savage goodness this time around.
And I hear that we might be getting our own room. Is this true?
As far as I know, that is what I have been told. If things go well enough, we last year they did it for the Pathfinder Society. This year they're talking about helping us out and having the Savage Worlds guys do it.
Is this because we were so loud last time?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, maybe I don't know. It could be. I make no excuses. But I think it'll be awesome too. It'll give us a little extra space to kind of run more in-depth demos and help people learn how to play and show off some of the stuff that we can do with it. I think it'll be kind of awesome to see. So it'll definitely make things a little bit easier too.
Cool. And we have some developments from Extra Life when we stayed up all night playing Savage
Yes.
Worlds. What happened with that?
So yeah, so last year in November, Garrett and a few other buddies of ours went down to Collector's Inn and sat around for 24 hours and played the entirety of the classic Savage Worlds supplement Evernight. We played the from beginning to end. Started with brand new characters who never played before and played from the beginning of the campaign all the way through to the end. Took us just about 24 hours to do. A little bit less, maybe about 21 or 22 hours, somewhere in that range is where we wind up wrapping up. And we had a fantastic time. We wound up raising a ton of money for Extra Life. If you're not familiar with Extra Life, it's a organization and charity that raises money for juvenile cancer research. What they do is they donate money to area hospitals, and they use it to look into juvenile cancer research. They want to make sure that they're trying to help as many kids as possible. It's a really great cause, and all you got to do in order to participate, it doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is sign up to pledge and play, and you pledge to play for 24 hours straight. You don't have to do it all on the same day. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but it's something that you pledge to do, and then ask your friends and family to donate. Last year, our group raised almost $3,000 between the 20 some odd of us, I think there was. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what our number was. Well, this year, the Buffalo area in the whole, not just the Buffalo Gamer group, not just the guys that we were working with, but overall, there were over 235 participants in the Western New York area that participated last year. And we raised over $36,000. And all of it
Jeez.
went into the Women and Children's Hospital in Buffalo. If you don't know Women and Children's Hospital, they do some great work in the area. They've been a staple of us for a long time, a staple of the area for a long time. They've done a lot of fantastic work for kids and to help them get healthy and help them get better. And something that I feel very strongly about. I'm a father myself. I have a 13-year-old daughter who, knock on wood, has usually been very healthy. She's never had an extended stay in the hospital, and I know that we're lucky in that regards. Not everybody gets that chance. So if I can help out in any way, this is kind of what I want to do. So because we raised so much money and we had so many people involved, Extra Life noticed, and so they named Buffalo as a guild this year. And a guild's a little bit of a higher level than the regular teams are. Teams are fairly informal. The guilds are a little bit more formalized. There is an organizational body. There's an executive group. You have to have a president, a vice president, a treasurer. You have to report some stuff back to Extra Life. But they give us space on their website. They give us their own webpage. They give us space in their official forums where we can coordinate events and activities and post announcements. And so we're getting a little bit more recognition for the kind of work we've done. And currently, the guild is talking about setting the new goal for this year. Since last year we did $36,000, this year we want to do 50. So our new goal for this year for 2016 is going to be $50,000 for Women and Children's Hospital. I think we can do it. Last year, without even trying, without even being organized, we did 36.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this year, if we all pull together and make plans and do some organization, I don't think it's going to be any problem at all hitting that number. So if you're interested in finding out, I just sent a link over to Garrett. It's got a link over to the homepage. Go check it out, register for the team, and let's get out there and help some kids.
Excellent. And talking about gaming events, it looks like Savage Sunday has franchised out to conquer Rochester.
Well, we haven't conquered yet, but we're going to start a beginning foray on May 15th at Just Games. I believe is the name of the place. For some reason, I can never remember the name of this location. We're going to be playing at. Let me find it here. Where is it? This is going to make great radio. Just Games Rochester. It's on Penfield Road. our buddy Mike Sprague, who's been a longtime supporter of our efforts with the Savage Worlds community in the Western York area. He's come to a bunch of our conventions. He runs a lot of games. He brings a lot of folks involved. He is sponsoring a Savage Worlds game day, very similar to what we do with our buddy Dean at Dragon's Neck. And we're going to be playing a bunch of games that day. I know there's at least 3 games already scheduled to play. We've got a Savage Star Wars game on the slot. We've got a Pope game on the slot. And a third game, which I can't remember.
Mystery game.
Mystery game, a game that we need later. Oh, that's right. It was a Savage Gamma World. Dave Schneider's Savage Gamma World game, which if you haven't had a chance to play it, I recommend it. It's really cool. I played everything except the Star Wars game, so I think that might be the one I'll sit in on. But I'm planning on being there. I'm planning on being in attendance. I don't know, Garrett, are you going to make the trip out?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it out there. I have to work that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's all right then. We will keep you in mind and roll some dice in your honor.
Yay!
So, but it's going to be we're planning on making it a monthly event. It's similar to what we do with the fourth weekend of the month at Dragon's Neck, and it'll be the second Sunday of the month in Rochester. So I'm planning on going out this month to check it out and throw some support Mike's way, and if things work out well, maybe make it with our next month too.
Excellent. And let's talk about this Savage Sunday that we had just had coming up not too long ago. You ran, as you talked about this,
yes,
for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I was. It is a simple structure, as we talked about beforehand, with as far as how it was laid out, but it took advantage of so many elements of the Savage Worlds rules, and it really was a beautiful showcase of what it could do. As a GM for that, how did you handle going between the different elements that were there, and also explain the elements that were there and how some things crisscrossed and intermingled?
Yeah, it was really a great scenario. I got to give mad props to Carl Kiesler. Carl Kiesler is one of the Savages from down in Florida. He puts together some fantastic scenarios. He puts together some terrific terrific props. Terrific props. Wow, I'm having a bad time talking tonight. That was really god awful. That's one for the blooper file right there. He puts together some really terrific props for the scenario, and the basic concept is that it's a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type game where it's the various heroes from the 1970s all getting together in order to help a poor young girl named Carrie White, who has suddenly developed psychokinetic abilities, and she's being chased by a boss hog character who's possessed by a demon, who has enlisted the help of Gene Simmons from Kiss. So for our player characters, we had the Bandit from Smokey and the Bandit, we had Kolchak the Night Stalker, we had Foxy Brown, we had Daisy Duke, we had Philo Beto was Clint Eastwood's character from Every Which Way But Loose. We had Evil Knievel, and of course we had the king himself, Elvis Presley. The fat Elvis, because it was the 70s, but he was an excellent kung fu master. So it was just a very silly scenario, but it had a really great feel and tone to it. There were a lot of in-jokes. If you're a fan of 1970s movies and television, there was a little something there for everybody. We had a lot of cameo appearances by different characters, which was a lot of fun to kind of roleplay and sort of see in action. Some of it I think was a little bit more for me because I knew who everybody was, and I think some of the younger people at the table weren't quite sure what to make of that.
Yeah.
But that's, quite all right. So it starts off with a very simple setup where it's, hey, here's your truck, here's a girl, she's magic, take her someplace special, go. And then you suddenly get attacked. And of course, as all good Savage Wars start with a good fight, it starts off from there and then goes quickly into a chase scene. I mean, if you've got a game where you've got the Bandit and Daisy Duke and Evil Knievel on a motorcycle, you can't not have a chase scene. I mean, that's the whole point. You're just doing something wrong if you don't have a chase scene. So it was a fairly long and involved chase sequence with multiple different vehicles and multiple different locations, and all encounter their own challenges. And so it made it a little tricky to kind of keep things going and keep the pace moving. I always kind of struggle with the chase rules a little bit because I think a lot of people don't really understand the abstract nature of it. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things you kind of have to look out for, is to make sure that people recognize that, hey, listen, I know it says medium range, but you're not really at medium range. It's a penalty because of other scenarios, other things that are going on around you. But then it goes into a much larger fight scene towards the end of the scenario, with lots of big monsters and lots of crazy insanity. There was actually some stuff that I cut out of that fight at the end, because it was too much. It was too much happening, and people were a little bit low on dice rolls. People had burnt through a lot of bennies, and I was a little worried about pulling out the baseball wielding baseball furies to bash people that were already having a hard time with the M16s and the Demon Lord. So I was like, it's getting a little late. I think I'll cut that part out. So, but to its credit, one of the things that, again, I really like about Savage Worlds is that if I make that kind of change, it doesn't break stuff. I'm not going to throw things for a loop. I'm not completely throwing the game over to the players by doing so. I can easily add or drop creatures to keep the balance right.
No, I don't think anybody felt like they were being handed the victory on a silver platter there at all.
Oh no, it was a tough fight. People were having a tough night.
The whole thing was tough, right? Once Elvis lost his entire posse in the first chase, it was touch and go.
Yeah, it was not a good scene when you turn over your pink Cadillac and lose all the members of your Memphis Mafia. Yeah, you're in for a bad time.
So, what other elements were worked into there that, from behind the scenes, that was in there? You have the chase rules. You have vehicular combat going in there. Were there dramatic tasks? Were there other elements from the rules?
I think the dramatic tasks, I think it could have kind of used the dramatic task rules a little bit more, or at least applied them to the rituals. See, the idea is that they were trying to complete a ritual so that they could release Carrie White from her mystic prison that she was being held in. I think they kind of could have written in a sidebar there saying, if the cultists achieve so many successes in so many turns, then she becomes available on their side. She switches allegiances and leaves the PC side and joins the NPCs. Or if the PCs are successfully convinced her not to help the bad guys, through the judicious application of Elvis's hunk of burning love, then I think it could have made that last combat flip its difficulty, either become way easier or way harder. I think that would have been a nice little twist towards the end. I think next time we run that, I think it's going to be something I'm going to keep an eye open for. This is an option. I mean, it's definitely a very much run and gun style, action oriented scenario. It's not really. It's not like you're not going to see a whole lot of dramatic interludes. You're not going to see a whole lot of courtroom persuasion. It's a 1970s action film. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of 1970s action films, so it really felt great for that sort of thing. And it felt great to have big honking muscle cars tooling down the road and doing speed jumps over dirt roads, and you just can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's just too awesome.
No, it was a great time, and everybody there had fun, especially controlling the monkey.
He's an ape.
He's an ape.
Clyde is a very intelligent orangutan, I'll have you know. He's an Orangu American.
And he was very good with the machine gun.
He's very good with the machine. Well, it's not a machine. It was an M16.
Okay.
So it's an assault rifle. Let's be honest here.
Okay, I'm not gonna give him too much credit. So what did you learn as a GM from running that? What did you walk away with in that?
I think that it's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think that I definitely learned that I need to spend more time prepping props. I kind of let some things go a little bit late, and I wish I had gotten some things done earlier. There were a couple of maps that I think would have looked really cool. I didn't get a chance to put together and print out, and I was a little disappointed in myself for not taking care of that. I wish I had done a better job with it. I think the props worked really well. He had created 8-track labels to fit on the outside of the actual 8-track tapes to use as your character sheets. And I'm really glad that I did that. I mean,
it was so great.
Yeah, to give a group of people, something that physical to look at for their character really does a lot to make them feel as part of that world and part of that character. It just really did a fantastic job of getting their interest, for one. I mean, as soon as those things came out, people were like, "Oh, I got to play that game. I got to find out what's going on there." I see this is too cool to have. So, and I've seen a couple other things similar to that before. I know that he was talking to about a buddy of his who was going to run a 1980s themed game, and he printed out the character sheets on cassette tape labels and put them actually in little cassette tapes. I'm like, that's so cool! I totally want to do that. So it looks, they're kind of like handwritten, like the tapes I used to make back in the 1980s, of perfectly purchased and legal materials. I'll have you know, I never pirated, children. Don't pirate; it's a bad thing. So I think that's the thing I to keep in mind is keep those props out there. Make something cool that only your game is going to have. It really pays off in the long run. It's a lot of work to begin with, but it's really going to make things work out great.
It's the Barnum and Bailey attitude toward gaming.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Cool. And what is the next Savage Sunday? Do we have a theme for that yet?
Not quite yet. I'm actually kind of tossing some ideas around in my head. I think I might know what I might do, just because I think the joke is funny. Even though I don't think anybody else thinks the joke is funny. Is if April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring? Pilgrims. So one of the things we're going to do, I think, Memorial Day. It's going to be Memorial Day weekend this month, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to do colonial type gaming. So, and when I mean colonial gaming, I mean all sorts of colonial stuff, such as Solomon Kane might be a good pick, or some Cursed type stuff, or pirates, because pirates are always fun. And I think doing something along that time, or Three Musketeers style gaming, such as with All for One. Yeah, All for One, which was a conversion of an Ubiquity system to Savage Worlds that Triple Ace Games did. That came out really, really well. Phil Vecchione ran a terrific one a couple of years back for me and some friends of ours. It was really a great time. If you want to talk about a game system that just lends itself so well to Savage Worlds, or a setting that lends itself so well to Savage Worlds, Three Musketeers is definitely it. So I think that's what I'm going to think. It's going to be a little bit of historical stuff from that kind of time period. So we're definitely looking for more game masters. We're always looking for more players. If you're all interested, go to the WNY Savages group on Facebook, sign up and let us know, and we'll get you put on the schedule.
Excellent. And anything other Savage Worlds news that you have, man?
A little bird tells me that we might be seeing our Rippers books very soon. I just received notification that my credit card had been billed for shipping fees.
Really? Even for the book? Even if they're going to add to it?
Yep. I have a feeling that's coming very soon. So keep an eye out, kids. You might be seeing some books in your mail very shortly.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Tim, for talking to us.
Fantastic. It was good times. We'll talk to you soon.